Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're jumping into the world of home entertainment tech. TVs, soundbars, lots happening there.
Definitely. It moves so fast.
Right, so we're going to cut through some of that noise. We've got listener questions, lots of sources, and we really want to pull out the key insights, what really matters.
Exactly. Make it practical. Help you figure out what's actually useful for your setup, your living room, not just, specs on a page, whether you're upgrading or just curious.
Okay, let's dive right in then. First up, Scott S. He grabbed a fantastic TV, the 77-inch Sony A95L. Amazing choice.
Oh, yeah, the A95L. Stellar PV. One of my favorites, truly.
So his question is about sound. He knows the A95L sounds pretty good on its own, which is true for a TV, but is adding something like a Sonos Arc, a good soundbar, really worth it, especially in an apartment?
That's a great question, Scott. And yeah, congrats on the A95L. It's a beauty. And you're right, the Acoustic Surface Audio Plus on that Sony is, well, it's impressive for built-in speakers. But a TV like that, with that kind of picture quality, it almost begs for better sound to match. It completes the experience. Even in an apartment, a dedicated sound system isn't just about cranking the volume up.
Right, it's about clarity.
Immersion.
Exactly. It's about the detail, the spatial audio, things the built-in speakers just physically can't reproduce. It pulls you in way more.
Okay, so the Sonos Arc is one option he mentioned. What else should he be looking at? Maybe something smaller for an apartment.
Yeah, the Arc is great, really popular, fills a room well. Sonos also has the Arc Ultra now, which is, an upgrade. But if size is a concern, or maybe the look, the Sonos Beam is a fantastic alternative. Still delivers really good quality sound, but it's more compact, doesn't dominate the space quite as much.
Makes sense. But here's where I think it gets really interesting. He has a Sony TV. Is there something that, pairs really well specifically with Sony?
Ah, good thinking, yes.
Yes.
If Scott invested in the A95L, and maybe budget isn't the absolute primary concern for the audio,
then the Sony Bravia Theater Quad is honestly the perfect match. It's not cheap, let's be clear.
Okay.
But it's designed to work seamlessly with Sony TVs like his, and it has some killer features for apartments.
Like what?
Well, first, Sony's 360 spatial mapping. It uses mics in the speakers to figure out your room layout where you placed everything.
Okay.
And then it creates this, optimized sound bubble. So even if your speaker placement isn't perfect, maybe tucked in a corner.
Which happens a lot in apartments.
Exactly. It adjusts the sound field to make it feel like things are coming from the ideal spot. Super clever for tricky rooms.
Wow, okay. That sounds genuinely useful.
And then there's Acoustic Center Sync. This lets the TV's own speakers, the ones in the A95L, act as the center channel for the soundbar system.
Oh, so dialogue sounds like it's coming right from the person talking on screen.
Precisely. It anchors the dialogue perfectly, even if the main soundbar unit is slightly below the screen or something. Really ties the audio and video together. Plus, it sounds fantastic for music, too, which is a nice bonus.
Okay, so for Scott, the A95L is great. But a soundbar like an Arc, Beam, or especially that Sony Theater Quad, if he wants the ultimate pairing, really takes the whole experience up a notch. It's about matching that amazing picture.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Completes the picture.
All right, let's switch gears. Next question is from Nicholas LaCroix. He calls it a good problem to have.
Haha. Those are the best kind of problems.
Right. He's got two OLEDs already, a Sony 80J and an LG C3. Both great TVs. He wants to upgrade, go bigger, and get the best visuals for new consoles, thinking ahead to 2025.
Okay, Nicholas, nice setup. Let's tackle the Sony A80J upgrade first. If you're staying with Sony, you're probably looking at either the Sony Bravia 8 Mark II, which is the newer model, or sticking with that A95L we just talked about.
And both are a step up from the 80J.
Oh, absolutely. Both use QD-OLED panels. That means brighter highlights, more vibrant, purer colors. It's a really noticeable improvement in pop and realism compared to the A80J's OLED panel. The A95L got rave reviews, and the Bravia 8 Mark II is meant to build on that.
But he wants to go bigger. How does size and, price factor in here?
That's the tricky part right now. The new Bravia 8 Mark II, it currently tops out at 65 inches.
Ah.
Whereas you can get the A95L bigger than that. And price-wise, at 65 inches, the A95L is on sale often, maybe around $2,900 lately. The Bravia 8 Mark II is closer to $4,000.
Whoa. That's a big jump. $1,200 difference.
It is. And honestly, a lot of reviewers felt the A95L was already so good, maybe even slightly better in some ways than the successor. So paying that much extra might not be worth it for many. Especially bigger than 65 inches is the goal, then the A95L is the clear choice between those two.
And what about gaming? That was key for Nicholas. Any real difference between the A95L and the Bravia 8 Mark II for, say, a PS5 or Xbox Series X?
For gaming, nope. You're really splitting hairs there. It's virtually identical. Both have two HDMI 2.1 ports, two 2.0 ports. Both do 4K at 120 hertz. Both support VRR. Input lag is basically the same.
So negligible difference for gaming?
Totally negligible. Pick based on size, price, availability. Either will be fantastic for next-gen consoles.
Got it. Now let's look at his other TV, the LG C3. Also a great TV, only a couple of years old. What's a meaningful upgrade path from there? Something that really feels like a leap.
Yeah, the C3 is excellent. So to get a real jump-off-the-screen kind of improvement, something that justifies spending thousands again, you probably want to look beyond the C series, like the C4 or C5.
Okay.
I'd point him towards the LG G series, specifically the LG G5, if possible. That uses LG's latest panel tech, sometimes called MLA, or a 4-stack OLED.
What does that mean in simple terms?
Brighter. Significantly brighter and purer colors. Just takes that OLED contrast and vibrancy to another level, especially for HDR content. It really pops.
And if the G5's too much of a stretch?
Then the LG G4 is still a really solid step up from the C3. Also uses advanced panel tech, maybe not quite the peak brightness of the G5, but noticeably better than the C3. And a big plus for gamers with both the G5 and G4. 4 HDMI 2.1 inputs. Full bandwidth on all 4, so if you have multiple consoles, a PC, whatever, you're covered. Plus all the gaming goodies like 4K high refresh, VRR, low latency. They're gaming beasts.
Okay, so for the C3 upgrade, aim for the G series, G5 ideally, or G4, for a noticeable jump, especially with those extra HDMI 2.1 ports.
Exactly. That's where you'll really feel the upgrade from an already great TV like the C3.
Perfect. Let's move on. Hermie Vanzi asks, if the Samsung S95C and the S90D are the same price, which one's better and why? This sounds like one of those tricky model year comparisons.
It is, yeah. And it's a sharp question because they are both excellent QD-OLEDs from Samsung. Picture quality-wise, the S90D, being the newer model, is probably a tiny bit brighter, maybe slightly refined picture processing.
Tiny bit. Like, would you actually notice?
Honestly, probably not, unless they were calibrated and sitting right next to each other. The S95C from 2023 is still a phenomenal TV. We're talking very fine margins here. Again, kind of splitting hairs on pure image quality.
So if the picture is basically a wash for most viewers, what's the real differentiator? Why pick one over the other if they're the same price?
The One Connect box, that's the big one.
Ah, right. The S95C has that, the S90D doesn't.
Correct. The S95C comes with that external box where you plug in all your HDMI devices, your power, everything. Then just one thin cable runs up to the actual TV panel.
And the benefit is?
Huge flexibility for setup, especially if you wall mount the TV, no messy cables dangling down. Or even if it's on a stand but in a tight spot, accessing ports on the back of a TV can be a real pain. The One Connect box makes it super easy.
Okay, that makes total sense. So versatility versus maybe a sliver more brightness.
Pretty much. If you value that clean setup and easy access, the S95C with the One Connect box is the way to go, especially at the same price. If that box doesn't matter to you, maybe you slightly prefer the absolute newest processing on the S90D. Also, Hermie finding the S95C at the same price as the S90D, that implies the S95C is probably on a really good sale. Finding a 2023 flagship QD-OLED like the S95C potentially under $2,000, that's a solid deal.
Yeah, definitely sounds like a great find. Okay, final question. This one's fun. From Pimp and Crispy, 1978. Memorable names.
Yeah, indeed.
They want to go big, like really big, 98 to 100 inches. What's the most affordable TV in that range that's actually worth buying? They specifically say no Samsung Crystal UHD, which I think is wise.
Oh, 100% agree with them there. Samsung's Crystal UHD line, especially at those huge sizes, like their DU9098, maybe $2,500 for 98 inches. It's big.
Yeah.
But the picture quality is just okay. Basic LED, pretty standard HDR. You're basically paying a premium just for the diagonal measurement, not for performance. Hard pass, just like they said.
So if you want huge and good value, where should they look?
TCL and Hisense, absolutely. They are dominating the large size, high value space right now.
Okay, give us some examples.
All right, for TCL, check out their 98-inch QM6K. I've seen it on sale for less than that Samsung Crystal UHD. And with the QM6K, you're getting a quantum dot panel, mini LED backlighting.
Which means much better contrast and brightness.
Yeah. Way better. Thousands of dimming zones. Plus Dolby Vision support, Dolby Atmos, faster refresh rates. It's a proper modern TV. And if they can spend a bit more, the TCL QM7K improves on that with even more zones and brightness.
Okay, so TCL QM6K or QM7K for 98 inches. What about Hisense? They go up to 100 inches, right?
They do. Look at the 100-inch Hisense U7. That's their 2024 model. I saw it pop up for around $1,900 recently.
$1,900 for 100 inches?
Yeah. And again, you're getting quantum dot color, full array, local dimming, maybe not mini LED like the TCL, but still good contrast. Dolby Vision, Dolby Atmos. It's got, the works for that price point. Incredible value.
That's amazing value. Now, they also mentioned wanting it to last about 10 years. That's always a tricky one, isn't it?
It really is, and that raises a super important point. Look, modern TVs should last a good while. But can anyone guarantee 10 years? No. It depends so much on usage, maybe power surges. Just look at the draw sometimes.
So you wouldn't advise paying a lot more for a premium brand with maybe lesser specs, just hoping it lasts longer?
Personally, no. Not when the value brands like TCL and Hisense are offering so much more advanced tech, mini LED, quantum dot, better HDR for significantly less money. You're getting way more bang for your buck. Focus on the features and picture quality you get now for your money. A TV failing early can happen to any brand, unfortunately.
That's great practical advice. Wow, okay, what a deep dive today. We went from optimizing apartment sound
Yeah, with things like the Sony Theater Quad,
for figuring out the real upgrade path for high-end OLED owners like Nicholas.
looking at those G-series LGs, or deciding between the A95L and Bravia 8.
Untangling those tricky Samsung model comparisons.
The S95C versus the S90D, all about that one Connect box.
And finally, finding genuinely good value in absolutely massive 98 or 100-inch screens without breaking the bank.
Thanks to TCL and Hisense pushing the envelope there.
We really cut through a lot of the jargon, I think, and got to some clear takeaways. So thanks, everyone, for joining us on this exploration.
Yeah, it's been fun. And just one last thought. Remember, specs are great, but think about how this tech actually fits your life, your room, how you watch what you watch. The best tech is the tech that works best for you.
Well said. All right, thanks again for tuning in to The Dive. We'll be back soon with another look at a fresh stack of sources. Until then, stay curious.